as that package details. President Biden heads into the new year with some pretty negative momentum, pretty low poll numbers, real questions and on a Democratic base about his handling of the war. Some good news on the economy, but hasn't really broken through yet. As we take a step back and we're about to enter an election year, how do you see things?
Well, I think it's wide open. I think Trump could win. He could win in Pennsylvania. I can see the rural areas where it's been about 68% in those counties, 50-some counties, besides Pittsburgh and Philly, in that big middle T there. I can see him growing. I can see the minority vote sloughing off a bit. The women, of course, in the burbs can decide the thing on abortion rights. A real opportunity there to vote. I think the thing that Biden has to do is he's got to enlarge the youth vote and minority vote. He's got to say to people, here's why you vote, and here's why it's important you vote. With the power to vote, you have the power to protect your rights. Women can protect their rights through Ohio cases like that, where you actually can see they will vote a way that shows that they're in power. How do you empower yourself? You vote. So he's got to connect democracy, which is a big word, to voting rights and people's rights, their own personal rights as young people, as minorities. You can protect your rights if you vote. But he's got to tie that together, and he's got to make it optimistic about, and he also has to give a State of the Union address, which includes some opportunities. Now, I was trying to think about what brings together the college-educated young couple and the uncollege-educated ones that didn't go to college, higher education. It's probably housing. Something as simple as we want to own a house someday. Something that the people in their 20s think, someday we're going to have a house, we're going to have kids, we're going to have a yard to play in, schools that are okay, and it's going to be okay. We're going to make it. But I have to get that sense of hope back. And I think the word hope is very important, just like it was with Barack Obama.
Certainly the State of the Union in a few months will be a major set piece for the president. He's also going to start campaigning, looks like end of January, early February in South Carolina. Eugene Daniels, let's take Chris's point to you. This idea of the Democratic base, which those close to the Biden re-election team will privately acknowledge that they feel okay about some swing voters, but they know they have a base problem. And that is indeed, as Chris just said, young voters, progressives, voters of color. Tell us, what does the Biden team plan to do to bring them back? Those folks probably aren't going to vote for Donald Trump. The fear is, though, they might just stay home.
Yeah, that's right. I'm in South Carolina right now. I'm at my grandmother's house. We're kind of revitalized Biden's run in 2020. And so, the voters here, when you talk to them, right, the things that they think about the most are the fact that the kind of quote unquote black agenda, things like voting rights, police reform, things that disproportionately impact African Americans in this country, kind of got laid by the wayside, right? And that's not all Biden's fault, right? That is Congress's problem. There are all kinds. There's a filibuster in the Senate, but voters don't care about that. And I think what voters haven't heard from President Biden and Vice President Harris just yet is, what does the next 4 years actually look like? What are you going to fight for? Finish the job. How? What are you going to do to make sure that people have stronger voting rights post-2025? What are you going to do about police reform post-2025? And how are you going to get past things like Congress, things like corporations, things like the courts that have stopped a lot of the things this president has wanted to do and tried to do over the last 4 years? What they're going to do, a lot of it seems to be going straight to these folks, right? We have been hearing from Democrats a lot that they have been wanting to see the Biden folks on the road more and more. And internally, they know that they have a salesman problem, that people are not listening. And more importantly, it's not breaking through, right? That they want to talk about the things that they have done for people, to kind of give them a report card on themselves. But the problem is, people also want to know what's happening next. And so they have to figure out how to do that. But at this point, they're still trying to figure out how to sell what they've done. And that's been an issue for this White House. And they'll admit to you over the last, since kind of like day one for them, is that they've been able to sell their agenda to the American people.
Yeah. Chris, listening to Eugene, it goes back to some of the things that we've been talking about over the last several weeks on this show and our mind. Isn't it really a challenge? And I think you touched on it, for the Biden people to not only sell Joe Biden, who's a decent guy, whether I agreed with him or not for his whole career, he's always a decent guy against a despicable guy in Donald Trump, and I know both of them. Isn't it their task to tell people to vote with their interests? It's not about Biden or Trump. It's about you. Do you want the right to choose? Do you want voting rights? Do you want student debt loans forgiven? Do you want to see police reform? Vote for yourself, and therefore you have to vote for Biden. I think the more they keep it between two personalities, that you have a turnout problem for Biden. The more you make it self-interest, people will come out for themselves.
You're right. I mean, you're right. And I think about black voting in Philadelphia, where I grew up. And you know the history there. We had a very tough mayor and former police commissioner, Frank Rizzo. The largest black turnout, the largest registration in history, because the people said, I've got to vote to protect my family and my kids on the street. I've got to protect them from the police in some cases. And that got people to vote. We saw in Ohio where women, I guess mostly women, decided that here's a chance to protect abortion rights. And, you know, sometimes the Dobbs decision, for example, you think it's going to break it one way or break it the other way. Well, it broke it a totally different direction. Abortion rights was about trimesters during a Roe v. Wade. It was very simple. You had more personal freedom in the beginning of your term, and then later more societal involvement and more restrictive. So that changed it to a freedom issue. The way people talk now about abortion is, do I have a personal freedom over my body or don't I? And in other words, it went the other way. They thought they were going to open it up to restrictions. It opened it the other way. And now I think much more of a freedom agenda. So when people vote for abortion rights, they're voting for personal freedom. And I think in the minority community, just based on the history we've all learned, it's about voting rights. If you want real rights, you have to have voting rights. Of course, it was civil rights in 64 and then voting rights in 65 to lock it in. And if you couldn't vote in the South and counties like Birmingham or anywhere else, you weren't calling the shots. Now you're calling the shots. One thing we've learned on abortion rights, women and men together can decide on abortion rights, not the Supreme Court. You can go in and do. So Pennsylvania may have a more liberal view of the things, 20-some weeks or something, but they're going to vote on the issue. And then I think the people who grew up in the collar counties of Philadelphia are going to decide the election. But I tell you, it's very tough because people that didn't go to college have a pretty good rage on their hands. That's what you really want in an election is a rage. It can be black rage or white rage or rural rage. In this case, it's rural rage. They are so angry at the liberal establishment, the coastal elite. They look at people on television, they say, oh, those people on Saturday Night Live, those snarling rich kids, I know who they are. They're all trust funders. They don't have to worry about us. And the regular guy in the country goes, there they are snarling and making fun of us again. And every time we make fun of Trump, we're making fun of them. That's the weird, it's a weird thing. But in a way, it's like fighting terrorism. I mean, you know, we think we just put the army in or Israel just puts the IDF in, they're going to solve the problem. It never solves the problem because you enrage people. And we did it with Afghanistan and we did it with Iraq. We enraged the enemy to the point where they're more fiery than ever and they hate us more than ever. Armies don't make peace. And we think they do. And that's what this fight with how about the younger staffers at the White House joining the protests outside the White House against the president because they're rooting for the Palestinians. Well, right? And I don't think it's a right versus wrong. I think it's very complicated, but they think they're rooting for the young people of the world against the establishment of the world, just like the rural voter in Pennsylvania thinks they're voting against the establishment of the world. This is really tricky, this election.
Well, certainly.